Israel pounded Gaza with airstrikes and Palestinian militants launched rocket salvos at Tel Aviv and other cities on Saturday, with no signs of an end to this crisis and this conflict. Residents in Israel and Gaza say that they are bracing themselves for a drawn-out conflict as Palestinian militants and Israeli forces continue their exchange of fire. The death toll is rising from what experts say is the worst escalation in hostilities between Israel and Palestine in years, and diplomacy has so far failed to quell the rising violence. At least 149 have been killed in Gaza since Monday. Meanwhile, an Israeli man was killed on Saturday after a rocket fired by Palestinian militants in Gaza hit the central city of Ramat Gan near Tel Aviv, and it was part of a barrage targeting central Israel, with projectiles hitting other cities near Tel Aviv as well. Gaza militants have fired more than 2,300 rockets at Israel since Monday. Israel has reported 10 deaths so far, and envoys from the United States, the United Nations and Egypt have started to initiate negotiations to restore calm, but have yet to show any signs of progress. The Biden administration has sent Hadi Amr, the Deputy Assistant Secretary of State for Israel and Palestinian Affairs, to the region in an effort to de-escalate the raging conflict. Amr is expected to hold extensive rounds of meetings with Israel, Palestine officials to start the de-escalation process. Meanwhile, the UN Security Council is also likely to hold a virtual meeting today to address the soaring violence in the region. Now, for a better understanding of the conflict on ground and the way ahead, we are now being joined by Lieutenant Colonel Avital Leibovich from Israel. She is the Director of American Jewish Committee. Thanks so much for joining us, ma'am. Welcome to Beyond World is One. My first question for you, where are you right now? What is the ground situation as of now?
So I'm in the Tel Aviv area. In my house, we were requested by the Homefront Command to stay near shelters, and the shelter is right behind this camera, a few meters from me right now. The situation is quite tense. Approximately an hour and a half ago, there was a very heavy barrage of rockets to this area. I had to take my family to the shelter. It was approximately 30 rockets that were fired in, 2 minutes. To a very big area, Tel Aviv and a lot of cities in the vicinity of Tel Aviv. One man died as a result of a direct hit to the building where he stayed in his apartment. And there was quite a lot of damage in some of the areas. So overall, this is the situation right now. A rocket fire could begin any minute as we are speaking.
Right. Now, Colonel, the rocket attack from Hamas and the airstrikes and pounding by Israeli forces seem to be unrelenting at the moment. What more can you tell us about the clashes, which only seem to be intensified as from what we can see?
At this point of time, there were something like 2,500 rockets that Hamas fired at Israeli civilian targets. The IDF, on the other hand, is targeting infrastructure. Infrastructure, I mean buildings primarily that has Hamas presence in them. It can be command centers, it can be intelligence posts, it can be caches of weapons. I just tweeted a short time ago about a hotel on the beach in Gaza that underneath the hotel, Hamas built a tunnel to use for storing weapons. So this is the kind of targets that Israel is going after. I can tell you that Hamas still has a few thousands of rockets. It's not as if the arsenal is finished. We are the 6th day of this kind of operation, and that arsenal of rockets is still there. So there's more to expect from both sides. We are hearing from time to time some talks about a potential ceasefire. But at this point of time, Israel returned a negative answer to any kind of ceasefire.
Thank you so much, Colonel, for speaking to us. Beyond World is One is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news updates on the move.